All right. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm so behind today. Good morning. Normally this is at 6 a.m. So we're going to pretend like this is 6 a.m. My week has already kind of gotten shifted schedule-wise, and also too, like, there's just not this push anymore. Like, there was once this time in my life where, like, I had all this rigidity and all this stress, and I had to do this and I had to do that and it had to get done, and I just don't have any of that anymore. That's just not my vibe. And I do spend some time in the morning just kind of really just trying to connect and find my peace. And so it's so fascinating. I want to talk today just a little bit about how do I frame this out, right? So you as a human being, right, know who you are. And we're always learning who we are, right? Like it's not an event. Like it's not like one thing, right? All right, so while we're talking, let's get a little bit of movement going, right? So go ahead and roll your shoulders back for me. We're just gonna warm them all up, right? So, like, we build ourselves brick by brick, right? Some of us build ourselves unconsciously. Go ahead and roll your shoulders forward now. Some of us build ourselves unconsciously, right? Meaning they just kind of like stumble from one trauma to another trauma to another trauma. And they're so unconscious about how they got from one place to another place, and what they've learned or what they've experienced, or really just any kind of connection to like their purpose or why they're doing what they're doing. Like it's all very happenstance, right? Big inhale up. Right. And one more time. We're gonna do that 3 times. Right. One more time. So we learn with perception in the subconscious mind, right, that people perceive, right, based off of their own bias, based off of their own experience, right? So then we project that reality out into the world, right? Hoping that, I guess, other people will then agree to their perception, right, of you. And so it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating because as a healer, right, our job, right, as healers, and I never really understood this in the beginning, right? Go ahead, right arm up and exhale over. I never really understood in the beginning, right? Go ahead and continue going. That what oftentimes would happen, right, is that when people are working through their own stuff, right, and they come in contact with me, you, or any healer, right, they are seeing themselves through you, right? Other side, big inhale up. Right. And relax, right? One more time, big up. And relax. And what I find fascinating, right, is that the unhealed expect the healer to adapt their perception of you. And being a deeply empathetic and emotional and authentic human being, being a messy human being, right, is literally my superpower. Like, I celebrate it. Like, I will cry. I will yell. I will scream. I will be human, right? So in this colonial, healthcare system, being human is not encouraged. Because if you're human, right, there must be something wrong with you, right? Being a human must mean that you have a mental health issue, right? So here's what I'm going to say about mental health issues, right? Mental health issues have to be diagnosed, my friends, right? And how are they diagnosed? They are diagnosed with subjective and objective, right? So meaning not just what I think, right? With no training, no consultation, no nothing, right? And you also have to base it off of some sort of objective analysis, right? So some sort of tool, some sort of thing, etc., right? Big inhale up. Oh, God, it feels so good. So here's the other deal, right? So you would have to go, number one, right, to a healthcare professional, which I love. And I've gone to many mental health professionals over the years. And I have one, but she's more of like a mentor, because it's important as a healthcare professional to have someone, as a healthcare professional, to be able to help you, right? To be able to kind of keep you in check, checks and balances, help to mitigate transference, and just like a seasoned professional to consult with, right? So I've been in natural health for 20 years. I have professionals for various different things, for people that have been in mental health care for a long time, people that have been in conventional health care, different specialists, all kinds of things, right? Like, I've worked with many people over the years, right? And so, and these people know you and they get to know you and you learn from them, etc. And here's the thing about me is I'm honest, right? So if anybody asks me questions, right, I'm a very honest human being. I'm going to tell you, right? If I don't feel good, I'm going to tell you I don't feel good. If I'm feeling great, I'm going to tell you I feel great. If I'm processing through things, meaning, because as a healer of my magnitude, right, I do get a lot of, what do you call them? I don't know what you would call them. Like I get premonitions and things like that, right? Which are deeply powerful, by the way, deeply powerful. They're powerful for my transformation, my evolution, and they're more powerful really for society, right? And so being clairvoyant, being clairaudient, being clairsentient, and having many of these gifts, and again, since a child, right? Like I was born to be a healer. I was born to do the work that I do, and my mother's been amazing. And here's the other thing too, is because I've come from intergenerational trauma, right? And because of my family's mental health issues, I had to be extremely proactive with my mental health, right? Big inhale. I've had to be very proactive with my mental health, which is why I have so many tools and so many skills and so many things that I want to teach you guys, because I have had to master and learn, right? And even when the conventional healthcare system, right, didn't really have much but re-traumatizing, right? And especially if you're like in a kind of a European centric system, it doesn't value spirituality, doesn't really value depth of emotion. It really wants sterility, right? And really looks for colonization. So I find it funny when people, so this particular individual who's operating well outside their scope of practice, who's in counseling school at a all Christian school. So remember also with colonization, and remember with the Catholic Church, right? So when they encountered the natives and they encountered Afro-Indigenous people, they called us barbarians. They called us all these names, uncivilized. All of our practices were considered less than, right? And so for Black people, a Black person to then vilify a healer in a public setting, right, is really unfortunate. But this is why I love the law, right, so much, because, there's so many things that are just not, you just can't do. So I would say this morning flow is very untraditional, right, quite honestly. I think this morning flow, I really want to dedicate it to all the people that have been gaslit, that have been told that they're somehow defective or wrong for being human, or that, they have to live under some sort of pretense of another human being. Like, F all that, right? Like, if I had a mental health issue, right, or if I was in any way mentally capacitated, I would be the first one to acknowledge that and then go and seek help, right? Because I can't help other people if I'm not good, which is why you notice, like, I've scheduled my morning flows like 6 a.m. and also scheduled, my classes, right? But if it doesn't work, like, meaning like I had to go out into town yesterday and, kind of unexpected stuff. I brought my laptop, but I couldn't quite find a place to connect, like, I don't stress myself. Right. Leaving America was really about me liberating and emancipating myself and getting me out of this tiny little bubble of Hampton Roads, right, where everybody thinks they know everybody, right? This tiny little bubble of Virginia, which is heavily racist, right? And really just America, right? Like, you're, as a Black and Indigenous person, you're just not free to be yourself. And I got tired of constantly being berated for being myself. So, if you appreciate my work, if you love my message, I really appreciate you. And you're willing to do the hard work, because whatever it is that I'm saying, right, it's going to trigger things in you. You're going to feel things. You're going to experience things, and it's so tempting, right? I remember when I was little, I'd get triggered by something, and I'd want to blame. I'd want to blame other people. Hello. I'd want to tell it's other people's fault. I would want other people to carry the burden of the emotional weight, right? And it doesn't work that way, right? It does not work that way. We have to take personal responsibility for our health. I like to be proactive instead of reactive, right? And when we're talking about our health, we're talking about our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, right? So when we begin with our mental health, right, it's who we be, who we choose to be, right? Hello, who we choose to be. So who I choose to be, right, is an incredibly human person. Yes, I cry. Yes, I yell. Yes, I experience raw emotion. And I am proud of experiencing raw emotion. I am doing so well, right? Let me tell you about my life, right? Okay. So I've had a really hard life, like a really difficult life. I've experienced a lot of abuse, SA, physical, mental, emotional, all sorts of abuses, right? And I knew, right, that on some level these things were definitely harmful, but very much in preparation, right? When you are a shaman, you are a healer, you are a teacher, right? You are incarnated into very difficult experiences, right? And I very much crash landed into very difficult experiences, right? And so in life, right? Remember, I'm talking about, we've all been talking about subconscious mind, conscious mind, right? So when we're discussing these things, right, our primitive mind develops pretty much at the gate. We're installed with it, right? Then we have our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind develops between 0 and 8 years old, right? So whatever occurred from 0 to 8 years old, occurred, right? So my mother had a psych break during that era of time, but also began to seek healing through her Afro-Indigenous practices, and also was in medicine. So I grew up around medicine. I grew up around healthcare. I grew up around science, the hard sciences. I also grew up around our Afro-Indigenous healing practices, right? And I also grew up around abuses, right? So all of these things can be true at once. And the who abusive is not really the important part, right? Because I don't need, at a certain point in healing, there is a list, right? So like, for instance, like Trump has a list of all the people that harmed him, right? Right there, at one point in my healing journey, I did have a list, right, of all the people, right? I don't have that list anymore. Now, would that make it that I've like healed from all resentments and all things? No, definitely not. Because healing is not an event, right? It's a process. It's an evolution, right? Me leaving America was me choosing myself, right? Was me healing myself. Was me going, I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of this. I don't deserve for people to keep calling me out of my name. I don't deserve people lying about me in public. Being a public figure, right, and being a household name, I know that people are going to say what they're going to say, right? And you can't stop it. You can't control it. People are going to do whatever they're going to do. But what I don't like is when people assume, like you do a project with somebody, you share something with somebody, and now all of a sudden they think they know you and they got you and they figured you all out, and it's so reductionist. And I'm much more of a deeply complex person. So, yeah, we don't operate with that. So I think that I think it's important to be raw, to be authentic. I've always been that way, right? If you speak to any of my friends, any of my family, like I'm brutally honest as a human being, right? Because when you've experienced trauma and you've experienced abuse and you've experienced, really dark depth aspects of humanity, right? When you work on it and you heal it and you transform it, and you get to the other side of it, right? There's so much light and so much wisdom gained and so much awareness, right? And again, it becomes your superpower. Our role is to turn darkness into light. So whatever darkness you've encountered in your life, right? It doesn't particularly matter the type of drama, right? Or the type of negativity or the type of stress or the type of, right? So again, right, when we talk about abuses, I've already stated this, right? So SA, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. There's no need to go into depth, right? Those cover it, right? This is not about me trauma bonding with my audience. This is not about me sharing if I was in an unhealed state, right, I would need to share all of those things, right? So, Christos or whatever in the chat. So I don't need at this point to share all of these things, right? When I say SA trauma, you know what that is. If I say physical abuse trauma, you know what that is. If I say mental health trauma, you know what that is. If I say emotional health trauma, you know what that is. There's no need to elaborate, right? elaboration. Number one, I've done revision on those things, so I can't pull them up consciously anymore because I've revised them. So again, when we're healing, there's a lot to it, right? We first have to come out of denial, right? So I came out of denial. It happened in stages, I think. So I remember 2024 really coming into the consciousness that I had married a racist and white supremacist, that I'd had a child with this person, that this person was very abusive, and I was recreating my childhood. So that was one level, of my awakening. Another level was, I would say, my second marriage, right? And then really facing my SA abuse and trauma from that relationship, because he was significantly older. So I was able to kind of connect and figure out, etc., right? So again, we have experiences. And over time, again, like me in Virginia really recognizing my exploitation and recognizing that I was allowing myself to be subjugated. I was allowing myself to be abused based off of my lack of self-worth, right? So there was so much, right? There were so many evolutionary processes of healing. And when I left the United States, I took a year. I took a year of just really deep self. I didn't do a lot of social media. I wasn't really out there a lot. I really just focused on me and my healing, right? Enjoy work. So, I didn't particularly like interact with a lot of people, right? Because I was in my healing cocoon. I had to really deal with and unpack 15 years of being in practice, right? And all the implications, all the anti-Black implications, all the abuses, all the power struggles and financial exploitations. There were so many things, right? And I've talked about it in Confessions of a Holistic Doctor. So I'll work on cutting those and getting those out, because I recorded a lot of those during that time frame. And also too, there's a lot of video content that's out right now. And I recorded those also in my awakening and in my awareness and working through things, right? Because that was where I was at the time. I am always moving, right? If you're healing and you're transforming and you're working on self, you're always going to be shifting. You're always going to be growing. You're never going to be stagnant. Who I was yesterday is a different person than I am today, right? Who I am today is going to be a different person I am tomorrow, right? So whoever you think you know, you really don't, because there's so much depth, right? And these reductionist boxes, right, just really don't work when you put all these boxes, with people, right? Number one, it comes from your own insecurity, it comes from your own fear, it comes from your own limiting belief, right? So let's say if I never had an experience you've had, right? If I've never been a woman, I've never had the situations that I've had, you've never had to overcome these situations, you've never had to do the work in order to overcome and physician heal thyself so that you could help other people, right? Because of the work that I've done in the area of trauma, in healing myself, I know it not just from a book perspective, but I know it from a deeply nuanced perspective, which is why when I give you tools and I give you techniques, they're very practiced, right? And why are they very practiced? Because I know that they work because I've used them myself, right? So people make up stories and then they expect you to live into them. And I won't. No, absolutely not. Because it limits me as a human being. And it's really just out of another person's fear and insecurity to make another person try to believe that they're small. I had relationships along the way. Patriarchal, unhealed men do this a lot, where if they get with a woman or they get into proximity with a woman, they believe that they now know, they perceive the woman because they're emotional as though the woman is somehow unhealthy, unwell, etc. But they don't realize their actions and their behaviors. So their actions and their behaviors go unchecked, right? Because they don't feel like they have to do anything wrong. So then they trigger, they disrespect, they do all kinds of things, right? And then it triggers you emotionally. And then they can stand back and go, see, look at yourself, look at you. It's a classic form of manipulation. I've dealt with it before with narcissistic people. So I don't deal with it anymore. Those types of people really get, they get evacuated out of my life pretty quickly. And they get a cease and desist because I don't have time for it. Yeah. So today I choose myself. And I encourage you to choose yourself, especially over this next 4 or 5 years and really a lifetime, right? Because one thing I can tell you is out of my own unhealed wounds and unhealed trauma, I never wanted other people to feel that way. So I did a lot of self-abandoning and trying to help other people get well. And really lost myself in the process, right? I'm being able to maintain, right? But I lost myself in the sense like I had gained all that weight. I was working 18-hour days. I was, like very rigid with everything and very unhealthy. And the capitalistic structure also kind of created that, a very suffocating environment that I was operating in. And so, leaving the States and coming to the Caribbean, taking a year off, really healing myself, looking at myself, evaluating myself and choosing myself and going, what do I want to do? What do I not want to do? Because really being conscious, which is what we're going to be teaching about this week, is about you choosing. Right? That what we've left the primitive mind, your nervous system. So your nervous system reactions, your nervous system responses. Then we move into the subconscious, your past experiences, your perceptions of those experiences. Now this week, we're in the conscious mind, your logic, your voice, your reason, your decision making, right? So if you're having nervous system reactions of some sort, right? Like I was having a lot of nervous system reactions. In addition to things from the past, right? And sense of unworthiness, core beliefs of unworthiness, or I'm not good enough, or any of those, core beliefs that we can all have as human beings. I'm not unique in this. Like, I love how people are like, oh, you're this and you're that, but they don't realize like I'm you, you're me. The only difference is I'm doing the work, right? I'm not interested in projecting onto other people, right? I think we all need to collectively take a step back from trying to be an armchair psychologist. In order to effectively even address mental health or emotional health issues, you need subjective analysis, which means that you need actually the person to go through, what's going on, what their symptoms are, so symptoms would be, let's say, really sharp emotions, breaking down emotionally without any reason, crying, depression, sadness, anger, hostility, shame. There would be a lot of emotional and nervous system reactions. You couldn't be stable. You couldn't be secure. You definitely couldn't show up in your life powerfully and effectively. And you damn sure couldn't record all the content that I record every single week either. So there's that. Yeah. And so, I remember days a long time ago of being, in those modes of, a lot of hyper stress. I would say, and if I had a timeline, I started really working on my neural pathways in my brain in my early 30s. So I got QEEGs done, and I started to do biofeedback is where I started to train my brain of how to sleep. And then I trained my brain to focus. And then I did a lot of neurofeedback and neurostem to specifically work on the trauma in my brain. And then I did a lot of revision meditations as well. And a lot of spiritual work. I went to different shamans. I worked with plant medicines. I traveled the world, right, to really work on healing myself. So I have a collection of things, right? And now I just more so do my daily meditations. I do my journaling, all the things that I show you in Morning Flow. Every morning. That's what I do every day to maintain, right? Because I tell my mind where I need to go and what I need to do, right? I don't let my mind run around, off of a leash. Because if you do, right, then you can get in trouble emotionally, right? So I really focus my intention, right? And I think in this lesson, it's really focusing my attention on those people that celebrate me, those people who truly see me, not see whatever craziness that they want to assume, right, of me. And that's always been my conflict of being in the professional eye and being in the public eye, is that most people's perception of me, right, is very different from who I actually am in reality. People will pick up a clip or a heated, passionate debate or something, and then they will make some sort of story up out of it and then hold on to that story and expect me to co-sign that story. It's so weird. They create this whole person, this whole persona of who they think I am in their mind, and then expect me to say, oh yeah, that's me, that's totally me, when it's not me. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this phenomena. Please go ahead and drop it in the chat. I think it's a very interesting phenomena. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. In fact, I've seen powerful Black women actually give videos about that. I'll have to go find them and reshare them, because we can't live in whatever version of me that you're thinking that I am, right? I think it's natural to want to defend, right? And want to be wait a second, right? Just because it's so ridiculous. Yeah, since leaving America, my life is so different. So different. I wake up every day. Most of the days I wake up without an alarm, right? So that's also, I'm trying to get my Caribbean flow with my morning flow, because, and our time zone difference and stuff like that. So this week, really, thanks for the grace this week. I am going to, record some legit morning flows, and I'll post them so we have them this week. I'll try to kind of figure those things out. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I got out of those boxes with people. So, Winning Team on TikTok says, greetings, many blessings to you, living your dream. That's really what it's about, right? I've never danced to the beat of anybody's drum. And I think that's what pisses people off so much about me, is they can't figure me out, number one, and they can't put me in a box. But it's because I'm always evolving and I'm always transforming. And that's why I'm so excited about the Wellness Collective, right? Is because I'm doing the work with you guys, right? This year. I'm going to show you in real time what's up, right? So we start off January all about the mind. We break the mind down. Primitive mind, all your nervous system reactions. Subconscious mind, pretty much your storage cabinet. Experiences, perceptions, those experiences, beliefs, and core beliefs from the past, right? Then this week is our conscious mind. I think it's so funny that I'm failing the conscious mind, right? So what I say about failing, right? So failing is just a breakdown in performance. It's an effort. You're just trying, right? You may not be hitting the target, right? So my target for, my content, right, is I do a 6 a.m. morning flow. It's a great class. I love it. It's like 15 minutes of movement, 15 minutes of meditation, 15 minutes of journaling, 15 minutes of day planning, right? And I do this organically with my day, which is why I share it with you guys, right? And so, but for some reason, that last couple of days, like, I've woken up and I've been there. I've been like available to do it, but I've been distracted. I've been like, okay, I need to do this or I need to do that or whatever. And then my afternoon class where I teach about the concept, right? Again, I had to go to town and it was like a big ordeal, right? And I could have squeezed it in, right? I could have pressured myself into it, but I'm being very generous with my nervous system, right? Because I know what it was like before, right? Before I left the States, and that stress, that constant rat race. I got to be this, I got to do that, I got to fit in this box, I got to make this happen. And I just don't put that type of pressure on myself anymore, right? I prioritize myself and my own needs number one, right? And that's really important for everyone, to prioritize your needs number one, right? So I wake up, I'm like, okay, so now it doesn't mean, right, that there's not something there for me, because there is, right? Consciously, right? It's like, oh, do I really want to show up? Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to, I really have to slow down and get present to what those conscious and subconscious thought patterns that I'm having that are preventing me from executing this week. Because it's all just going on with me, right? So our conscious mind and our subconscious mind have to agree in order for action to take place, in order for change to happen, in order for things to occur. Our subconscious mind, our primitive mind, and our conscious mind, all three minds have to agree, right? So how do I figure out where the block is, right? Where do I figure out where the block? I start journaling. I start putting my self-awareness. So even when I take my breath, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of breath to find what's going on, right? Right? Yeah, exactly. Right? So I'm giving myself permission, right, to be okay, right? So let me just get into my body. So I give myself permission to be okay, right? I give myself permission to feel my emotions, right? I give myself permission to be intimate with my emotions. I give myself permission to acknowledge my emotions. I give myself permission to honor my emotions. I give myself permission to be at peace with my emotions. I give myself permission to release any shame around my emotions. I give myself permission to celebrate my emotions. It's done, it's healed, it's accomplished now. Whew. So yawn, movement, right? So what I'm doing is I'm giving my conscious mind permission to allow my subconscious to open up, right? So I'm telling my subconscious, which is my security guard, right? Hey now, hey now, right? So my conscious mind is going, yeah, I don't want to do this, right? But my subconscious mind is going, yeah, but we need to do this. Oh, thank you, winning team, thank you, right? So my subconscious mind is going, wait a second, remember when you did this before? Remember when this happened? Oh my God, balloons, I love those. I love those. I don't know who did that, but I love those. I think those are on YouTube. I love those, whoever sent them, thank you. So, okay, so I'm consciously going, okay, I'm not getting it done, right? So whatever that not getting it done is, right, pick a struggle, whether that's water, food, movement. For me, it's showing up for you guys. That's my not getting it done, right? Okay, so whatever that is, right, I give myself permission, right? I give myself permission to feel why. I open myself up to why, right? I want to know. I want to go into the inquiry of what is emotionally stopping me, what is holding me back. Because I know my thoughts, right, create my emotions, and then my emotions create my action. So if I'm in inaction, meaning I'm not in action, right, for whatever my result is, then that means I know, right? The reason for that is because I'm either emotionally stuck or I'm mentally stuck, right? So let's tap into those emotions by going, okay, I choose to feel this. I give myself permission to feel this. I'm going to feel this, right? So I reset. Now when I do that, I'm going to feel where I feel it in my body, okay? So for me, I feel it in my chest, right? That's grief, right? I give myself permission to feel the grief around not showing up. Because really, I want to show up for you guys. I'm sad. I'm sad I didn't show up, right? I give myself permission to feel the grief over not showing up for myself first and others second, right? And it's okay. It's okay, right? And as I work through that, I feel it moving into my tummy. My tummy is fear, right? So I give myself permission. Greetings, Ashe, love Africa, from the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago, right? So I feel this, right, in my tummy, right? So that's fear, right? I give myself permission to feel my fear, my sadness, and my sorrow, and that is okay, right? Oh, I love you too, big old booty. Right? Okay, so I give myself permission to feel this, right? In my stomach, I give myself permission to feel all this fear, all this anxiety, all these judgments, right? All these judgments. That's what it is. And notice when you start to connect, right? And you start to feel it, you'll feel it in your body. It'll resonate. It'll be like validating. It'll always be like, right? So really, now that I look at it, right, now that I'm dealing with this in real time so you guys can see, right, what a nutcase I am, right? So now I'm just going to mess with y'all. Now I'm just going to mess with it. It's funny, right? All right, so now, right, I give myself permission to feel this fear around showing up, and it's okay. There goes yawn. So when you yawn, right, that means that movement, energy movement, right? Because emotions are just energy in motion, right? So I just move that, right? I give myself permission, right, to feel my fear, right? Because fear is in my stomach. Lots more fear coming up. I give myself permission to feel my fear around not showing up, around not being good enough, around not being heard, not being seen, being distorted, like not being seen authentically, right? People distorting who I am and twisting who I am and for their own narrative, right? But I also recognize I don't have control over certain things, so I give myself permission to release control. But it's okay. I can already feel it coming, right? So the thing is that once you start to attune yourself to your emotions, you begin to recognize them pretty fast, right? Some of the deeper emotions, unless it's attached to a core belief, like a really deep one, a lot of times I don't have a visceral reaction over my emotions anymore, unless it's a deep emotion. If it's a deep core belief or something like that, I'm gonna have a big kind of visceral reaction. And if it's charged by a spiritual download, like a spiritual, like a what do you call? I don't know what you would call these things. I've had them since I was little, and I get to a certain point, and then boom, there's like some big emotional, spiritual upgrade, if you will, they've happened earlier, like later on in life. They pretty much keep going, like they don't stop. For instance, like I think it was like December-ish or whatever, like all of a sudden then all my cycles started tracking to like the moon. Now my cycles have tracked to the moon like for years, but this was interesting because I had actually 2 cycles that month, new moon and full moon, like the day of, which was wild, right? So yeah, so it is what it is, right? But like on an everyday basis, because I manage my emotions every day, I don't just let them pile up. I don't really have like these big visceral big reactions. It's more like, okay, I acknowledge I feel that. I acknowledge I feel that, right? And then I can be okay with it. I can acknowledge I feel that. I can validate that emotion. I can reframe it out into something else and like moving on, right? Now, if my emotion and my mental state, again, if it's lined up for mental emotional transformation with spiritual, I don't know what you want to call it, juice behind it, right? A download, like Roller Girl was saying. Yeah, the thing is that, that's a different experience, right? Entirely. That's a totally different experience, right? So, and those are not controlled by me. Those are just a part of my spiritual evolution and awakening and awareness and whatever. You'll never see me on live about that. I've been on live before when they've happened. They're pretty powerful. But yeah, all is well in the world. Lots of energy motion now. Okay, so I feel like we moved a lot of the negative stuff. So now, how long were you up? What do you mean, how long was I up? I just woke up not long ago, like maybe a couple hours. Yeah. I didn't do an all-nighter. I like actually slept and took care of myself. Missed my hubby, my husband, because he's working down the hill. All right, so now we're going to reframe. So I validate all those emotions. So let's kind of do a recap. So I give myself, so I'm feeling something's off in the universe or whatever. Or just like, I just need to daily like dump out all this stuff because I don't want to accumulate emotional junk, especially a negative emotional junk. And people will project their emotional junk on you. And another tool that I do is I give it back to them, right? So Ferdinand, I give it all back to you, right? All your lies, your anger, your hostility, your projection, your fear, your anger, your entitlement, your patriarchy, your sadness, your sorrow, your misery. I give it all back to you. I feel like I got all of it, right? So I'm literally just consciously giving it back to him, right? Because that's all his shit. It's not my shit, right? So now, once I've given it back to whoever, right? In this case, it was Ferdinand, but in another case, it could be anybody else, right? So now that I've given all that back to him, right? Now I'm gonna clear myself up. So that's where I give myself permission to feel, my sadness, my sorrow, my stress, my whatever I need to feel. I give myself permission to feel that, and it's okay, right? I choose to feel my own emotions. I'm going to give your shit back to you because that don't have nothing to do with me, and I'm going to take my stuff and I'm going to work with me because while you're over there doing whatever, I need to be rebuilding and recreating and dynamic and all that, right? So I'm going to deal with my emotions. I give myself permission to feel all of my emotions, and it's okay. I give myself permission to feel my sadness, my sorrow, my stress, my anger, my hurt, my disappointment, my fear, my anxiety, my nervousness, whatever, right? I put all that, right? And, right, it's okay. I'm allowed as a human being to feel things. I don't know where y'all got this whole thing that because you are an emotional human being, because you cry, because you are comfortable with crying, you are comfortable with feeling your emotions. I started doing plant medicine when I was 12 years old, okay? So when you do plant medicine in your developmental years, it starts to open up all sorts of conscious awarenesses. And one of the things that it opened up for me is something called arcing. If you're not familiar with arcing a lot of times I've arced with ayahuasca, but in this case I'm going to tell you more about psilocybin, right? So with psilocybin, psilocybin is a masculine plant, by the way, and so you heal a lot of your masculine wounds, right? You're receiving energy with psilocybin. So anyway, and also you're giving energy too, because that's relative to the masculine. So anywho, arcing is full ranges of emotions, okay? So meaning in one sitting. So you can start off with maybe you feel, happy to the point that you're like giggling excited joy to like a mass level, right? Like you're just laughing hysterically. Oh my God. Like it's just so funny. Everything is like hilarious. The high, very high vibration, very high frequency, right? And then within a couple minutes, you go from that, right, to now all of a sudden you feel, not so great, not so happy, not so sweet, not so whatever. Now all of a sudden you're feeling angry, you're feeling sadness, you're feeling sorrow. Hey, TT, you're feeling, now you get to the point where you feel more at the depth, right, of those negative emotions. Now you're feeling more of that deep sadness, that deep sorrow, that deep, almost depressive low frequency energy, right? That's arcing, by the way, right? So, and this all happens within 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Time is so crazy when you're working with medicine, but let's say 15, 20 minutes for the sake of a structure, right? So you're arcing through all that. So you're experiencing all full range of emotion, right? So that was me in my developmental years, was playing around with emotion, was playing around with this concept of emotion, because I felt so big. And having two Marine Corps parents, right, who didn't necessarily feel, because I don't think they give those in their little bags or whatever, when they sign up in boot camp or whatever. So they don't have their emotions. They're kind of shut down, right? These two humans. And so me being born very loving, very sensitive, very open, very intuitive, right? Being an indigo, right? So here I am experiencing, feeling whatever. What could go wrong? What could go wrong with the contrast of non-feeling versus feeling everything? What could go wrong, right? So my exploration of my world has been really understanding this concept called emotions. Yay! Sleep! Take that booty to bed. So thank you for stopping in the live. So anywho, so we go through all these ranges of emotions, right? And really it's about honoring them. And so that was kind of one aspect of my healing process. But then I had other aspects where with journaling and with really facing it, or even with, neurostem and really going back and cleaning some of those things up and doing the revision. So there's been a lot of lessons and a lot of practicality, right? But back to the grind here. Okay, so daily now, right, I clear myself out. So beginning of the day, I set the tone for my day. Right now, I'm really working with this concept all week of being productive, being calm, being focused. Like that's my way of being, right? So consciously, that's what I'm choosing. I'm choosing to be productive. I'm choosing to be calm. I'm choosing to be focused. Those are my choices, right? And so I'm going to live into that feeling, right? I'm choosing to think that in my mind, and then I'm going to feel what that feels like. So let's go ahead and connect, because we are reframing that out, right? Remember, we focused on the negative first, we returned back to sender, then we cleaned up whatever we need to clean up on our end, and now we're going to reframe what we actually want, because now all that's out of the way, right? So I give myself permission to be productive. I give myself permission to be calm. I give myself permission to be soothed. I give myself permission to be at peace. I give myself permission to be expansive. I give myself permission to be calm. I give myself permission to be anything and everything that I want to be. I give myself permission to show up powerfully. I give myself permission to be elevated. I give myself permission to be free. I give myself permission to be at peace. Aho, ashe, and it is done, right? So now I reframe, right? Yeah, exactly, right? So now I reframe and I go into, right, these positive awarenesses. And now I'm working on that all day, right? So now, let's say, and I love listening to, the TikTok tussles, right? However, right, sometimes I need a break from that. So I'll turn that off and I'll throw on, maybe Neville Goddard, or I'll throw on, what is it? Melly, I think his name is. I really gotta know his name. He's really good. I listen to his stuff too. Or I'll throw on some positive something, right? To really kind of get my brain in the zone. I'll maybe work out. I'll maybe do a stretch. I'll maybe, take a walk down my street, because I have this, I live in this beautiful tropical, amazing place. I'll talk to my husband. He'll give me a hug. He'll give me a forehead kiss. these kinds of things, right? I'll read a book, I'll call my mom, these are kind of things that I work on every single day, right? To gain perspective, right? So I have myself, right? Then I have my little close support system, right? Then I have acquaintances, right? Or actually friends, we'll put friends. I'll put my close circle, then I have my friends, then I have my acquaintances, right? And then there's the general public. Right. General public always thinks they know who the hell I am, right? Acquaintances also think they know who I am, right? Which is so funny, right? Yes. Oh my God. So we do not have a bathtub here. We have an open air house. We don't have a bathtub yet. We're shopping. We're gonna build our house or whatever. I totally want a good bathtub with some Epsom salt, a good yoga practice. Y'all are speaking my language this morning. My people, y'all know me so well, and I know you. So yeah, that's the thing, right? We don't have to take on these realities that other people project onto us. Like, we just don't. Like, and I'm tired of taking on reality. I think, when I work through that with you guys, I think that fear of showing up and constantly showing up is all that, right? Is why do I have to live into your reality of me, right? Like, I am a very direct person. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I know my words. I've got a sheer command of my language. But we can't address people at face value. It's like impossible. We look at people and then we put all this crazy story into it, right? Literally what I'm saying to you is the reality that I am existing in this moment. There's no other fucking reality but the one I'm laying out. So then you say, oh, but that's not your reality. This is your reality. I just get so tired of the gaslighting. Like, I think that's where I'm at with it all. It's like, let's normalize listening to people. Let's normalize communication. Let's normalize getting out of the story and really getting into the present current timeline that we're on. Oh my God, chakra music is so great. Or even like the solfeggio or whatever, like the frequency music, that's all good too. Another thing I love is dopamine, like lo-fi music while I'm working. I'm gonna try that this week because like when I work on my patient stuff or I work on like content stuff or whatever, I really want like some like music that I can zone into. I've been kind of playing around with some Spotify playlists. So anyway, I digress. I'm talking to Roller Girl there on YouTube. So it's really about you connecting with yourself every single day, right? So releasing whatever story, people, places, situation, circumstance, and events give to you, right? Reclaiming your own power, right? Because I don't have to live into some crazy story that you make up for me. I can process through that, right? Whatever feelings I have about it, right? I can recreate a new story that works for me, right? Because I'm a household name. At the end of the day, everybody knows who I am. Everybody knows Dr. Erica Steele, right? I've been a holistic doctor for forever, right? I've been in natural health care for 20 plus years. I've been in your ear, on your social, in your, living rooms, in your bedrooms, in your kitchens for years, right? Teaching you, I'm the inconvenient truth, right? Of teaching you about your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. Did you drink water today? Did you have your protein? How many grams of protein? I know it's annoying. I know it triggers you, I'm sure, right? Because again, this inconvenient truth, like I'm doing this work every single day, right? Me treating myself holistically, right, is my practice for myself, right? So before I treat any of y'all, answer any questions you have, I make sure I practice this stuff myself. So what does that look like? Meditation. That looks like my water. That looks like my yoga. That looks like me coming on camera and doing the things that I'm doing right now. Like I'm showing you how I process my emotions every single day, right? So anytime I feel something, this is what I go to. Right? I go to this type of work. I go to journaling. I go to, really, cleansing all of this out. It's just, that's why I say, like, empty your gas tank, right? If it's fear, I put all the fear on a piece of paper. If it's anger, I put all the anger on a piece of paper. If it's judgment, I put all the judgment on a piece of paper. But I know if I'm feeling fear, anger, control, pride, or judgment, that's just my ego. Those are just to protect me against being vulnerable. Those are not the whole story. So I have to get through, right, these emotions first to get to the sadness, the sorrow, the grief, the pain, the whatever, right? And then feel that, process through that, right? Get to the other side. And now where we act consciously, we're creating a new paradigm for ourselves. So this week, right, I'm playing with, right, and I put it on my thought bubble on the TikTok, I'll put it on others too, other platforms, is, I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. That is what I'm creating. I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. And that is my mantra. I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. I'm productive, I'm focused, I'm calm. And that is my mantra, right? And see how boom, 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 boom. It could be me. We've had some, right now our weather's okay, but we've had a little bit of weather, so apologies. It's also streaming from one central place out to multiple places. So this is kind of how I do it, right? So now I'm living into this. Now I'm really feeling this energy, right? What is it? I'm productive, I'm happy, I'm calm, right? I'm productive, right? I'm focused, I'm calm. I'm productive, 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 I'm focused, I'm calm, right? And now all of a sudden I'm really starting to feel that resonance, right? And I me and Afro beats are like, whoa, right? So now I start to really feel that resonance, right? So now I'm feeling, I can hear my ancestors drumming, right? So now what I would do is I would put drums on. I've got some really good drumming and chanting, right? So I would put that on, right? And then normally I'm going to start dancing eventually, right? So really raise my vibration. And this is all the stuff I'm doing at home with myself, right? Just having fun, right? And so then, okay, so I'm dancing, right? I'm bringing this vibration up, right? And now, right, now I'm really cooking, right? Now I'm really focused. I'm answering all your stuff. I'm looking at your labs. I'm, responding to this. I'm booking, consulting meetings. I'm recording content, all that sort of, I'm editing content, whatever needs to be done, right? So boom, boom, right? So, but it's all about taking it from that lower energy frequency, right, to a higher one. So we flip it like a pancake. I remember I was one story. So I'm trained in a lot of different yogas, a lot of different style yogas. I did this one yoga one time. It's actually, what is it? It's called laughter yoga. If you've never done it, you totally need to. Put it on the list. No joke. So I'd never done laughter yoga before, and I did it with this guy. I think his name is Frank. I don't know if he still does or not. He was really good. Anyway, so you get in there, and it's kind of awkward at first, right? Because you're doing all these kind of silly, it's kind of like a kid thing, right? So you're doing all these silly things, you're pretending you have a truck or whatever, and you're you're buzzing through it, you're literally with your lips and everything, right, around. So again, being serious doctor, right? Taking myself far too seriously, right? I'm what? We want to do what, right? Because there's such a disconnect with me in my childhood, because my childhood was taken away. I had to be over-parentified and adultified, as many Black women in society do. Let's just be honest. And so, I was so disconnected from my childhood at that point in my life. And so, I started doing it. So of course I'm going to do something. I'm going to get into it, right? I'm not just going to half-ass it. So I get into it, right? And I'm doing all this stuff and all these little, things. And oh my God, it started to get so just the energy and the laughter and the fun and the enthusiasm. I didn't even want it to stop. It was so freeing and it was so fun. And I just remember being so contracted and uptight. And then by the end being so open and loose and free and whatever. So we get done with the class. Everything's copacetic. I'm feeling great. Then all of a sudden, boom, my energy grounds me, like to the point of like I had to lay down on the floor in my medical office at the time, because like I was like, whoa, because I had arced up so high, my emotions had been so high, right, and my frequency had been so high, right, that now I had to counterbalance it with deep grounding. And I literally stayed on that floor for the whole afternoon. People would come into my office and they'd be like, hey, Dr. Steele, why are you on the floor? It's kind of weird, like, what's going on, like, but, truth be told, it was just me kind of playing with and working with this energy. So remember, emotions are energy in motion, right? So you can play with them, right? Emotions are not, we have to get out of this Eurocentric thinking about our health. Not everything is a fucking diagnosis, people. I know I use the F-bomb, but it's important. Not everything is a diagnosis. Stop it. Sometimes you're just having a bad day. Sometimes you just have encountered an asshole. Sometimes it's just stressful, right? It doesn't mean you have a diagnosed condition. Please and thank you. Lordy. Everybody is so excited about putting on a name tag. Hi, my name is depression. Hi, my name is anxiety. Hi, my name is bipolar. Hi, my name is schizoaffective disorder. Hi, my name is borderline. Hi, my name is schizophrenia. Hi, my name is, pick a struggle, right? Now, I am not negating actual diagnoses, right? Actual diagnoses of these conditions has a certain structure. Let me tell you what that structure is. So if you believe that you may have one of these particular conditions that I mention, right? What you're going to do is you're going to go to a psychologist and a psychiatrist, both, not just one. Psychologist, you want to find a PsyD, a PhD in psychology. Why a PhD, right? Not that LCSWs aren't great, not that other master's level education are great. It's just if you're having this level of situation, right? For me, because of the level of trauma I try to go with the person who's got the most tool bags, most tools in the tool bag to be able to offer me. And so I look for PsyDs, because a lot of times they have a lot more continuing education, just a lot more insight, right? So then you would go, right, and then they would assess you. They're going to listen to you. You're going to probably do something on the computer, like an assessment. Also, they may have some written assessments. And then on top of that, you need a QEEG. You need a brain map to map your brain and confirm that that area of the brain isn't getting neural function, isn't getting what it needs, right? We put those two together, subjective, objective, and that's how we create an actual diagnosis. Because we know with the post-colonized system of healthcare that we're living in, right? We know that the DSM was weaponized against Black people, Black and brown and indigenous people. We know the history of the medical apartheid. We also know all of the misinformation and disinformation and unconscious bias that exists even still in healthcare, and the lack of educational resources and or equity in medicine. We are fighting for equity in medicine and equity in healthcare. We're fighting just to be included in studies. We're fighting to not be gaslit every single day in the medical system. And so it can be challenging. So this is why I teach you all of these things, right? Because there's a difference between, maybe I have seasonal affect, or like for me, like leaving the country, closing my practice after 15 years, right? And recording all of that for you guys. Like I recorded my deconstruction process, and I shared it with you online. right? Me deconstructing from leaving the plantation mentality. The revolutionary act for Black women is to rest, right? Understanding that I was healing from my exploitation wounds, recognizing that I was allowing myself to be deeply exploited, right? Having to acknowledge that and heal from that, right? Recognizing that I had manifested this beautiful relationship and this beautiful man that I really didn't even know how to operate with, and having to learn all of that, right? Because it's a different relationship. It's very much a spiritually based, connected relationship. So, like, there's a lot, right? Like, yeah. So now we're 2025. That was 2023 too. So 2024. I really worked on building my TikTok in 2024. So I'm at big ups to the almost 60K followers on the TikTok. Hopefully it doesn't go away. So really worked on kind of building my reach and building my distribution and, getting my message out, which I'll keep kind of doing. So yeah. So that's my take on diagnoses, right? And we as a culture are very flippant about throwing that out there, right? Anytime we suffer fragility. So anytime I feel emotional comfort, and I'm saying I is like the pejorative. So anytime I feel emotional comfort, I'm going to, now, right, project that discomfort onto you. So you must have an emotional issue because I'm not able to really access the depth of emotional transformation that you've been able to. So clearly there's something wrong with you. Clearly. No. Stick around, folks. I'll teach you something, right? What is it? What do they always say? Like, stick with me, kid. I'll teach you something, right? Like that's the kind of vibe, right? So, because emotions are our superpower. I know they're my superpower, right? I don't want to get rid of my emotions, right? I want to really master my thoughts so that I can direct my emotions so that my actions are more efficient, right? That's the trick. It's not avoiding triggers. In fact, I like to be triggered. Why? Because it's revealing more shit. It's revealing more negativity. It's revealing more that needs to be transformed and needs to be healed. Trigger me, please, and thank you. Because then that lets me know that there's more work to be done. And I'm a deep sea diver, baby. We can only meet people as deep as we're willing to meet ourselves. Let me say that one more time. We can only meet people as deep as we're willing to meet ourselves. And I'm a deep sea diver, right? Like, I'm going to the bottom because I want to transform it. I know in psychoneuroimmunology, it's the emotional manifestation of disease. I know that if I don't deal with these emotions, inevitably they're going to turn into dis-ease, which in turn can turn into a pathology. What is a pathology? Pathos, root word, suffering, ology, study of. I don't have a disease that's diagnosed, a pathology. But if I did, I know that I have suffering, internalized suffering, that I need to address. How do I get this internalized suffering? From avoiding, repressing, denying my emotional state, hiding from myself, not dealing with myself, not looking at myself, not stopping like I did, right, on the video with you, and clearing whatever out needed to be cleared. Returning to sender, being with my own emotional state, processing through my emotional state, reframing it into something positive and something that relates to my results that I'm trying to create for myself in my life, that are also set on a 12-week plan, right? That are broken down into monthly, weekly, and daily goals, right? That I'll end up showing you guys at a later period. I can kind of show you how I break this stuff down. Because again, right? I'm calm, I'm focused, I'm productive, right? That's my mental state. Now I'm living into this mental state this week, and I've got all my tools, right? And then I have some emotional stuff that comes up that's like, But my emotions can either throw me off or they can enhance me, right? So that's why I want to really harness my emotions and build a good relationship with them. And that's why I do build a good relationship with them. because they're my creations. They're what I created for myself in my life. So if they're what I created, right, I don't want to push them away. I don't want to, reject them, abandon them. I want to embrace them and love them. They're like my teachers. They're like my little babies. They're my little children, my little tadpoles, right? So now I'm going to bring them back into self, and then I'm going to sift and sort, right? Okay, this one is a bad one, this one is a good one, if I'm going to use that context, right? There's really no good or bad, there just is. But let's say, okay, this one's this one's that one, right? Sifting and sorting. I want to keep these, I don't want to keep these. So if I don't want to keep these, what do I want to do with these? I need to transform these. So what are my techniques to transform these, right? I use meditation, I use journaling, I use conscious language communication. I mostly use conscious language because it's faster. I'll use self-hypnosis. I'll use emotional freedom technique and tapping. I'll use scripting, right? These are just some of the tools that I use, right? Fill my cup up. I'll go get a massage. I'll go do yoga. I'll go, ask my husband for a hug. Like whatever, right? Whatever I need to do to care for not only my adult self, but my inner child. Because remember in the beginning, right? My inner child experienced a lot. She experienced essay, she experienced physical abuse, she experienced emotional abuse, she experienced mental abuse. So I want to protect her, right? For many, many years, she was unprotected, right? That is not there anymore. She is fiercely protected now. She's fiercely loved. She's accepted. She's honored. She's supported. She's phenomenal. Me and her are like this. We have like so much fun together. Like me and her dancing in the morning, right? We're like, yay, bring it. Bring the day, bring the day, bring the day, bring the day. She's who lights up when I see the balloons come up. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is very much a part of me, that childlike quality, that belief that all things are good, that naivety, that all people are beautiful, loving, happy souls, right? Like, that part keeps me, I think, from being in deep amounts of resentment. Right? And I have still lots of resentment for how I've been treated in my world, right? But I emulsify that and I work on that and I heal that and I look at that. That's going to be a lifetime. I'm just, I'm chilling back on that one. I'll work on it a little bit because there's so many tentacles to resentment, because it's coupled with so much betrayal of self and others. So to protect that inner child as well, I don't need to go running and unpacking. There was a day where that inner child was so distraught and so sad and so overwhelmed that she was just vomiting and tantruming over everybody, including me, right? But that day, hey gallery, but that day is not today, right? So because I've tonified my nervous system, I've gained mastery, I put my mind on a leash, right? My emotional state, I'm more regulated with my nervous system now. So my emotional state, that's why I like to be in my natural habitat. I like to be in warm climates. I like to be places, tropical places where food grows properly, right? That is how I vibe. I need the sun. I need the warmth. I need the heat, right? I need to be able to go hiking 300 days out of the year. I need to be able to go out in nature, 300 days out of the year. I need these things for my soul. So I put myself, my ancestors initially put me here, right? And then I followed reluctantly, right? But knowing that this is what I needed for my soul, I couldn't stay trapped in that little bubble of Virginia Beach, that little bubble of Virginia, that little bubble of the United States of America. Because it just wanted to keep me small. And so I don't like boxes. Like, stop putting me in the box. Stop putting me in the box of your own mental state, right? Hey, the shy social, welcome to the body. Yeah, so, that's the vibe, right? It's about honoring yourself, right? Being with self. Winning team, I love Tulum. I know Tulum is I know a lot of people are flashing to Tulum, But for me, like the grounding of Tulum, the acai bowls. Okay, let's talk about the acai bowls for a moment, right? Fresh fruit, all kind of pureed down, fresh nuts, fresh, granola, everything fresh, delivered on a little bike to your door, okay? $20. Just, can we just have a moment, like, for the Tulum acai bowls? I mean, if you haven't had one, you literally are missing out on life at this point, okay? I don't know what to tell you. I think you should do a lot of deep soul searching to be able to get to these acai bowls. So, again, Colombia as well. I will tell you all the time, my heart is in Colombia. My heart and soul is in Colombia. I love that country. Like we have black Colombians, we have white Colombians, but we're all Colombian. Like it's just, And that's in Cartagena, by the way, not in some of the other places. So anywho, right? So we're focused, right? We're productive, right? We're calm, we're focused. That's what we're living into. That's what we're embodying, right? And we're going to fail at that. It's not like one and done. It's not like we're going to get it and then all of a sudden, like, now all of a sudden I'm the most productive person, right? I've been struggling this week, right? I've been struggling this week to show up for you guys, not because I don't want to show up, but because, like, life, right? Like, I woke up this morning. I was like, okay. Do I feel it? Do I want to do morning flow? I do, but I don't. Why don't I? Right? And so getting into that's why I decided to do this instead. And so, and then yesterday, I had to run to town. It was like all this thing, right? So I'm going, okay, I'm going to go in the inquiry. I'm not going to get into the story of why I didn't do what I didn't do, right? Because we're in conscious mind this week. So I'm not going to consciously get into some crazy story and start beating myself up. Oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, right? That's like not even necessary. Instead, I'm going to greet the day, right? I'm productive. I'm calm, I'm focused, right? I need to communicate with you guys, right? Everything that's going on, right? Because I'm going to hold myself accountable, right? By communication, right? Because you guys know, if you've been stopping off and trying to, like, hey, where is she, right? Like, it's a deal, right? So instead of being like blank and like, we're not going to say nothing, like, okay, we're going to acknowledge it, right? And then go, okay, so what do I need to shift, right, to show up for you powerfully? Because let's face it, like, we're in this relationship together. So I've committed to show up, right, at a certain time, certain place, certain way, right? I'm mentally struggling with whatever to get there, right? Because that's what it is. It has to start. Any change has to begin in the mind, right? I don't care what it is. If you want to lose weight, if you want to heal from a chronic disease, if you want to, accelerate your career, if you want to raise your little ones so that they are productive, loving humans on the planet, like any of those things, right? You're going to need this structure, right? I'm trying to apply it to showing up in the world globally and scaling my brand. However, right, we can apply it to anything that you want, anything. So let's apply the steps, right? Okay. So I made a declaration to myself. So I declare that I show up for you, right, twice a day, Monday through Friday, 1 day for morning flow, one hour for morning flow every day, and then 1 hour for an education teaching every single day. So that's what I've committed to show up for consciously, right? So, but here's what happened. So that's what my intention declaration was. But then here's what happened, right? Here's what happened is life started lifing. And what do I mean by life started lifing? Meaning that yesterday I showed up for morning flow that morning, right, for 6 a.m. But then the afternoon, somebody came by and I needed to do something for them, right? So I brought my laptop, right, but I didn't charge my phone because I was in a rush. Right? So I couldn't get online, right? So then I'm around town, couldn't get online, had my laptop, right? And so now my laptop is actually going, right? Okay, so, right, I go, right, well, when I get home, I'll do it later. I came home when I got later, I didn't really feel it. And so I have to get to what I was telling myself in my head. right? What I was saying to myself, because I was letting myself off the hook in some way, shape, or form. And that's where journaling can come in. You can sit there and really get to the bottom of why, what the mental block is, right? And why is it that you're not there? And then inevitably it's going to reveal an emotion, right? So whether that emotion is sad, mad, glad, tired, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And a lot of times it's not even related to the event, right? It's not even related to what is going on, right? Which is wild. But we need to clear all that stuff out, because if we don't clear that stuff out, it's going to stop us unconsciously. Remember that subconscious we talked all about last week? If you didn't take a look, go back and look at our YouTube. They're all housed on there. We talked about the subconscious and our perceptions and our beliefs and our core beliefs. All of those are running in the background. We're not privy to them unless we begin to bring them into self and really begin to work with them, right? So, and then anytime we want to do something new, we want to expand, we're going to face ourselves in that, right? So I'm literally in this with you. Okay, so we look at that. So I'm going to do some journaling, right? So I will report back. I'm going to do some journaling today about why. I'm going to see if I can pull up what emotions, right? I'm going to feel those emotions, and then I'm going to tool it out, right? Conscious communication. I give myself permission to feel. Let's see what I feel right now. I give myself permission to feel anxious, curious, excited, vulnerable, open. There you go. It moved, right? I give myself permission to be present in the moment and to accept what needs to be accepted so that I can move forward in providing excellent holistic programming for the world. Right? I give myself permission to expand globally. Oh, that's a good one. All right. Remember, when you yawn, it means energy's moving, right? Because emotions are just energy in motion. We can't change the emotions, but we can transform them, right? So meaning, like, if I have a negative emotion like anger or sadness or whatever, I can't change the negative emotion because it's already been created in life, but I can take that, acknowledge it, validate it, and then transform it into joy, happiness, peace, tranquility, whatever. But I first have to get myself out of denial and see. That's why I love writing, because it accesses the subconscious mind. So you can't lie to yourself when you're writing, right? So then I'm writing, get everything out, right? Then I have it. I can look at it, look at patterns, and go, oh, okay, what's going on here? What's going on there, right? Okay, I don't want this. I'm going to let that go. Now I'm going to change the story. What's the new story, right? The new story is I'm a global empire. That's already done. I'm already a household name. It's already done. It's already been done, right? So now I need to live into that experience. How would it feel to be a household name? Well, it will feel honored, honestly. I feel honored. I feel grateful. I feel excited. Yeah, I just feel it as like a deep duty and responsibility to be your holistic doctor. Like, and even if you never see me like in the capacity as a patient, just showing up to lives and learning from me, like, I consider myself your doctor in that point, right? Just if you want to put my name down legally, just make sure you check with me first. But anyway, like, the reality is this, right? Like, we are creating our world in real time, right? I've always been authentic with everyone, all of my peoples that follow me. And I love that. I love the rawness, because especially I know as a responsibility as a doctor, like, people put us on pedestals. It's programmed. We're programmed to think that doctors are superior, that doctors are whatever, right? And of course, I'm a holistic doctor, so I don't get all of the glory, right? I only get a part of the glory, right? I get the doctor glory, and then they're like, oh, but you're a holistic doctor, wah, wah, so obviously I have to journal about that, but nonetheless, right? So, the thing is that I recognize that I have a position, right, of authority, and I don't use that lightly, right? I really make sure that I am conscious of that relationship, right? I don't want you to see me as unhuman, because I am human. Like, superhuman. Like, I feel, I think, I love, I trust, I stay, right? Like, there's so many different things. Like, and I've always worn my heart on my sleeve. I've always been fully wholehearted because I really want to bring care back to healthcare, because care is missing from healthcare, right? Doctors are stoic. They don't feel, right? You see the doctor and they're like, I've spoken to some oncologists that literally I thought that they were like transformers or robots or something. Like, I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't a good job for you. And I get it. I get having to like cut yourself off. You've got patients that are, always, passing away and, bad news. And so I get the self-protection and the self-survival perspective. At the same time, though, like, people are suffering. People are hurting. Remember I said pathos, root word, suffering, right? So people are suffering. So I don't want to transfer my suffering onto my patients. Like, stop it. I would much rather do the work, be the example, teach you about me, right? Because hello, like, I've been super messy in my life and I love every second of it. Like, you will never be like, oh, Dr. Steele, no, I put all my shit out there. Like, you can't get me because I'm already like, here you go. Here is it. And here's what I did about it. Like, like, I'm not going to just sit there and be like, poor me. I'm sad. I'm this, I'm that. What has gotten me, what has gotten the test of time, why you still keep coming back to Dr. Steele. All these natural doctors pop up. They're popping up like, Kit Kats and Skittles these days, right? Now all these natural folks popping up. But who do you keep coming back to? The crazy, dreaded, holistic doc that you met way back, who you've seen go through all these different transformations, right? Because it's real. It's supposed to be real. It's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be authentic. I'm supposed to share. Because if I'm not doing the work, how can I expect you to do the work? I'd be a hypocrite. False prophet. False prophet. I never wanted to be a false prophet. No, absolutely. So, physician, heal thyself. So really, you're just on a journey with me, healing myself, and you're just along for the ride. So hopefully you want to heal yourself because it's going to be a happy side effect, I'm sure. We start with the mind, right? That's where we're starting all this month. Primitive mind, primitive reactions. So go back and check this out. This is all fight or flight responses, right? Love, connection, peace, faith, calm, certainty, all security, all the good things. Or fear, lack, distrust, anger, hostility, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, self-abandonment, codependency, all that, right? So that's in that door, right? That's all relative to the primitive mind, your nervous system responses, epinephrine, norepinephrine, being activated, hypervigilant state, all that, right? And then we transition to our conscious mind. Those are our perceptions, experiences of those, experiences, perceptions of those experiences, beliefs, core beliefs, right? And then your defense mechanisms. All this week is our conscious mind, right? Our logic, our voice, our reason, our decision making. Okay. So this week, right, I'm making decisions. I'm making choices. Some are good choices, some are not good choices. Who's defining what's good and what's not good? Because they're all just choices. I can reframe out what's good and what's bad. I can accept where I am, right? I can forgive myself, right? I can acknowledge myself. There we go. I can forgive myself. I can acknowledge myself, right? And I know now, right, that I choose to show up powerfully for you, right? And that's always been my commitment to myself and others, right? Because I want that level of transparency where you know what? I remember when she was la. I saw her la. I know. I want you to go on a journey with me. Go back and look at like my stuff from years ago. Like, I'm a totally different human being than I was then. Why? Because this stuff works. Transformation works. You can do this, right? And I break it down for you. So simple. So all this month we're talking about, I'm going to get my life together. And this week we're going to get conscious. We are doing a training later today. Don't ask me the time. I haven't gotten that far yet because I have to finish up other stuff. So, but I will. I've committed to it. and now you get to hold me accountable to it. So I'll figure it out. My ideal would be to get like consistent time where like every day 6 a.m., every day 4 o'clock. It's just sometimes my schedule doesn't always, because healthcare is kind of unpredictable. People need things and want things, and sometimes it gets a little crazy. But nonetheless, all is well. So that's about the conscious mind. Logic, right? So again, when we encounter external circumstance, right? Situation, circumstance, people, place, or thing, right? It has to filter through our conscious mind. Our conscious mind gets triggered. It goes into either logic, right? Or it goes into a reactive state, right? So it's going to either choose love or fear initially, right? Is this something that is safe for me? Is this something that's not safe for me, right? If this is something... Is this something that is not safe for me, right? My nervous system is going to let me know, right? I'm going to feel anxious, frustrated, disappointed, stressed, resistant, tired, hungry, angry, whatever. I'm not going to want to do it. And my ego is going to choose some sort of something to slow that process down, right? However, if I choose to be proactive, I just choose to observe these emotions, right? So I'm just observing them. Oh, okay. Welcome disappointment, welcome anger, welcome frustration. I'm going to acknowledge them, right? And then that's it. Sometimes just acknowledging is half the battle, right? So I acknowledge it, right? I accept it, right? And then I'm just going to honor it and I'm going to love it. I'm not going to push it away. I'm not going to tell this emotion that it's wrong and it's bad and all these things. No, because this is a fragile thing. This is something I created, right? So I'm going to honor my emotion. I'm going to bring it into me, even if it's messy, messy, messy. I'm going to honor this emotion. I'm going to tell it, I love you, I accept you, I nurture you, I want you, I forgive you, all these things, right? And then when I'm ready, and only when I'm ready, I'll say, okay, so now that you've worked with me, now that I've honored you so much, now it's time, my love, for you to go, right? And so ever so gently and ever so gracefully, right, I slowly visualize this emotion as no longer me, right, but as more of a frequency and more as an essence, and then eventually more as a person, right? So then I'll create a complex of it, or like almost like an archetype, right? So then I'll create this entity that's going to represent my lack of self-esteem, or my lack of self-worth, or my anger, my frustration, or whatever emotion that I'm working on at the time. I'm going to now embody my unworthiness in this complex, in this like little, just, grumpy, old, decrepit, real negative, like ornery sort of man, right? And so, that is who represents to me my lack of self-worth or hostility or anger, whatever. And so I'm going to see this, right, within myself, right? And so it's no longer me and mine, because I've already done that work. Now it's you and yours, right? So now I can separate out that emotion from me, right? So now we're getting just that much closer. So now it's separated out. So now it's no longer me, it's just my creation. So now I'm looking at you as this complex or archetype. And now I can tell you, now I can honor you, I can give something to you, I can detach from you. But more importantly, when I'm ready, I can ask you to, your time, I'm really grateful for you, and I'm really grateful for your help, in overwhelm, in frustration, in disappointment, in stress, in procrastination, whatever the thing is, right? I'm really grateful for you, complex, right? However, I know now that it's time for you to go. So it's time for you to go procrastination. It's time for you to go fear. It's time for you to go anger. It's time for you to go hurt. It's time for you to go pain. It's time for you to go suffering. It's time for you to go now, right? And I get it, right? I get it. You've been with me a long time, and I honor you, and I love you, and I accept you, and I think you're amazing. However, right? It's time for me to change the story. It's time for me to close the chapter. It's time for me to write a new book. It's time for me to see a new movie. It's time for me to have a different story play out, because I'm done. I'm tired. This is old. This is an old story. So I'm going to leave you here in the past. I'm going to walk away to my future, where I'm calm and productive and focused, and I'm going to leave you here, right, where you are, right, in resentment, anger, hostility, judgment, disappointment. So I'm going to go, but I love you and I honor you, right? And in my mind's eye, and only in my mind's eye, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to walk away. And as I walk away, I'm going to walk away really proud of myself for honoring myself, loving myself, accepting myself, being in my faith, being in my power, being in my certainty, and not having faith. In fact, having certainty and faith over fear, right? And believing in my higher self, believing in God, resonating with my Creator, right? And so it is. Ashe, 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 right? So there it goes, right? So in real time, right, we're starting to disconnect, right? We're connecting but disconnecting. So we're connecting, we're validating our mental emotional state, right? We're not making it wrong. We're loving it. We're supporting it. We're all the things, right? And then as we're ready, and only when we're ready, we start to disconnect and really pull back and then separate. So it takes time. It takes time, and it takes nurturance, and it takes acceptance, right? Oh, yes, it takes you building that relationship with your emotions, right? Your emotions are a part of you. They're your creations. Your thoughts are a part of you. They're your creations. Your actions are a part of you. They're your creations. If you are in action, or in this case, in inaction, right? Based off of your results. You have a result you're trying to achieve, whatever that result is, whether it's your health result, whether it's your financial result, whether it's your career result, whether it's your relationship result, whether it's your parenting result, whether it's your home life result, whatever result you're trying to look at, then the result has to be tangible and specific, right? So it has to be time-based. It has to be, numerically driven. You can't just say, I want to lose weight. It's like, I want to lose 20 pounds by this time, by this date, for this reason, right? Then we have to pull on our intrinsic motivation, right? Checking where we are in the stages of change, right? Making sure that we are more in the contemplative, or very least pre-contemplative of change, so that we can get closer to action, right? And then I'm acceptant of any sort of, failures that I have along the way, right? And I know that relapse is very much a part of the cycle of change, right? And so it's not that I'm not going to, break off the horse. It's not that I'm not going to not show up for the things, right? It's that I'm working through, right? My subconscious, my conscious. And so when they're starting to rub up against each other, I'm going to have friction in my action or inaction. But then when I start to clear that out mentally, emotionally, now it frees up that energy in motion. Now it's easy. Now bing, I'm waking up bright and early, 30 minutes before the time. I'm logging in, no excuses, right? I'm showing up. I'm having a good class. Tons of people are showing up. It's a magnet. People from all over the world are celebrating, and really celebrating, reclaiming themselves, not giving their power away to anything or anyone outside of themselves, especially not now in 2025, but rather bringing it all within themselves and really having deep, honest conversations with themselves about what they want and what they need and what they're worth and what they really want to create in this life. I think if we all had the courage to do this work and really be honest with ourselves about what it is we want to bring into this planet, I really think we'd have a much different world. I know for me, knowing I'm an indigo, knowing my mission, knowing my purpose, I'm really looking for other people on their purpose, right? Because I want to inspire them. I want to encourage them. My purpose is, to do this, to keep people healthy and well, right? Your purpose may be education. Your purpose may be the healing arts. Your purpose may be I don't know, I'm naming all my stuff. Your purpose may be, writing, basket weaving. Your purpose may be, I don't know, who knows, pick a thing, right? So whatever your purpose is, right, you want encouragement and support, and willing to totally, provide that to you. So through using my own life. So you're welcome. You're welcome. It takes a special kind of human to put their shit on Front Street. Let me tell you. It takes a special kind of human to be comfortable enough to go, you know what? This is where I was yesterday. This is what I learned. This is where I am today because of what I learned yesterday, right? So it's just been a series of that in my world. Just healing, working, transforming, changing, evolving, all the things. So thank you so much for attending, for showing up. I cannot even believe I've been on live 2 hours. I've almost done both classes for the day in this 2-hour thing, just chatting with you. But I really just felt the need to just come on, and not in a structured way, but just more in an authentic way. We're in the conscious mind this week. Logic, voice, reason, decision making. So I'm using my voice. I'm reasoning with you. I'm making some decisions, right? I don't feel 100% solidified in my decisions, I must tell you. So I am going to do a little bit of journaling around my thoughts and my feelings to really get the last little bit up and out. I'll let you know later what I come up with. And so, yeah, this is the work. This is what it looks like, right? There's no therapist around. I mean, God bless them, but there's no therapist around, right? If I need a therapist, I can call one, right? But I mean, all the big stuff, like what happened to me when I was 4 and what happened, I've already done all that shit. Like that does not really, there is a purpose and a practice to that, right? If you have not been heard, not been seen, and not been acknowledged ever in that capacity, it's incredibly cathartic, very, very painful though. But, like you need someone to be your witness, right? Otherwise, you will hold on to different things mentally and emotionally, right? Where you feel like you need to hold on to that as proof or evidence that it happened. So, not processing it can have a negative effect, right? Yes, I absolutely. Journaling is so key, like for so many things, like just insights, awarenesses, like just it's so I cannot even stress it enough. Like super cheap therapist, like journal, it's private, whatever, get a little lock on it, go about business. I'm fortunate, my handwriting's so bad, I can barely read it. So unless somebody like is an archaeologist or some sort of like master, I don't even know what you would call that person. Whoever like decodes all that stuff, whoever that person is, that would be like, they would need that. They would need those skills. So, I could literally leave my journal out in the middle of the room and not be phased. Cause again, I pick it up and I'm like, I kind of remember this. There's a little bit, because most of the time I don't need to reread it, right? I just need to get it out. I need to data dump it, right? So that I can really resonate and feel the feelings. I don't need to go back and reread it and cry about it and all that. I literally, unless I'm doing a technique where I'm reading it to someone, that's a whole nother thing. And then normally I'll try to like make it as clean as possible. Let's see. Yeah. So we're going on the journey. Boop, boop, boop. I'm going to try to go live later today, so pop the bell, subscribe wherever you're at. YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, IG, Book a Face. That's where we're at on these days. I also have my private group too, where it has like direct links. I have to record my other webinar, my evergreen webinar, and then put out my landing pages and all my things. So, yeah. Yeah. truthfreedomhealth.com. Yeah, I don't know. I had sent you a message about that, Kimmy. So, because I've been in politics, I was in healthcare politics. I did all that, and I'm tired, quite honestly. Like, it was all kind of a scam anyway. Like, it was all littered with special interest groups. So that's the problem with politicians, is that they will run on a lot of stuff, right? And I've worked with patrons because I was a bill writer too. So, and there's a distinction between the bill writers, between politicians. So there are more of like your marketers, like Trump. He more like just brings the people, but then there's actually people that do the work, right? So like Kamala, for instance, is a policy writer. So she actually knows how to write policy, and she's an attorney and that kind of thing. So all that the legal aspect of how to fit it in and how to get the languaging in and all that, because that's a whole like thing, right? So just from my years of being in politics and doing, again, I'm authentic. I am who I am, right? And I just choose not to participate in politics. My voice is never acknowledged. My insight is not. It's all, they just want to use you as a pawn, as a tool to move you around the chessboard. And I'm really focused on educating our people first, educating Black people about healthcare. I don't believe in the current healthcare system. I think it's collapsing. I think it's been collapsing. It's failing. And yeah, but I've been in politics a long time, my friend. So I don't need I don't need that anymore in my life. I just want to focus on building my practice, building the infrastructure that I have. I've built a decentralized healthcare system that I focused on. The government will never want that to be a part of. The government suppresses doctors like me. The government and Rockefeller and now Bill Gates, who's taken over, is very much so I'm not a girl, I'm a woman, right? I was in politics for a long time. I was in politics in Virginia, okay? So I I really wish you the best of luck in your political ventures, but me and the 92%, right, are on self-care. So that's why I'm talking about what I'm doing for my self-care, for all the amazing, not only Black and brown people, but all the people in the world, not just Black and brown people. But that's my priority, right, is helping Black and brown people heal, because I am a Black and brown person, so I know what that road is like, right? Not to say that I don't work with other races, because I do all the time, right? But their road is very different. It's a very different healing process than my road, right? As a Black woman, I don't need to keep showing up. America showed me, that girl showed me a long time ago. She showed me who she was. She erases misogynist, patriarchal, whatever. That's who she is, right? That's who she's always going to be until she atones, until she acknowledges the genocide of my people, right? As well as the slavery, the chattel slavery, and the impact of those grape camps on my people. America and I got nothing to talk about. So I love you, boo, but yeah, go sell it somewhere else. I've been sold it a million times before, and the fact that you're calling me a girl already lets me know what the deal is. Like, you don't respect me. I'm not a girl. I'm a woman. If you know anything about me and my career, you'll know I've done the political thing. Go look at my IG. I got photos with all of them. I got photos with every single one of them standing up there looking all, yeah, so, no, not interested. Return to sender. So good luck. I hope y'all, enjoy your time. But no, I'm really into revolutionizing the healthcare system, which politicians will never allow. They make too much money off of you being uneducated and you being sick. Although I would say this, that I do like Rand Paul. He's always stood on business. And I am going to watch him a little bit more, mostly just because he's inspiring to listen to. And also like Jasmine Crockett, inspiring to listen to. Again, these people are inspiring, right? But this is not my fight, right? I'm not interested in that. That's not my vibe. Other people pass the torch over. Y'all, politics is all about selling your soul. So you have to give a piece and then gain a piece and give a piece and gain a piece. And my soul's not for sale. Like, I'm good. So enjoy. I hope you guys build something up, but me and the 92% are chilling. We're getting our self-care on. We're building our empires. We're building our self-care. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, cool. So I'm going to run for the day. Otherwise, I'm just going to stay on live with you guys and chat with you as all the people come over, and that's not productive and not focused. So let me get myself together. Thank you guys so much for joining. Tap the bell. I'm gonna go live later today, I promise, with a PowerPoint, so you can make sense of whatever the hell I'm talking about if you're a visual learner. I'm not an auditory learner, so God bless you if you just listened today. But we'll keep reinforcing it. All this week is the conscious mind. So logic, voice, reason, decision making. This is that little voice that stops you. So I've been in the process of it myself, and so I'm really excited to keep sharing it with you guys. And thank you for showing up, showing out.